So we live in a time where life, or the sanctity of life, is really compromised. You guys know that. And I don't get political or do all that. Those of you that have been around me a long time, but there's crazy things that are taking place when it comes to the sanctity of life, in my opinion, right? And so today, I want to take just a second on Mother's Day. Happy Mother's Day to all the moms. You know what? Why don't you guys, moms, why don't you stand up all over the room? The boys can clap for you. It's all right. And today I want to talk about kind of bringing out the best in our kids. But you can do this if the kids aren't in your home. You can still do some of the things that I'm talking about. Also, it's just as important in discipleship relationships. What I'm going to talk about, I mean, spot on for that. Spot on for people that you work with. Spot on for just friendships and all of that. It'll be kind of centric around kids and grandkids, but are raising kids. And so I'm going to start with Psalms 139, one of my favorite passages of Scripture when it comes to the sanctity of life. In verse 13 through 18, it says, "For you formed me in my inward parts, you covered me in my mother's womb. I will praise you, for I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Marvelous are your works. And that my soul knows them very well. My frame was not hidden from you when I was made in secret. Skillfully and wrought," and that word skillfully or wrought, you look up here one second, is this knitting. It's a knitting thing. So when you were in God's womb, He was knitting you into what He wanted you to be. All right? And so that's what that is right there. In the lowest parts of the earth, your eyes saw my substance being yet unformed. And in your book, they were all written, the days fashioned for me, as yet there were none of them. How precious, check this out. God, to you are your thoughts to me, O God. How great is the sum of them. So if I added them all up, if I should count them, they would be more in number than the sand. So my mind was tilt right there. And when I wake up, I am still with you. And so I believe that life is kind of this miracle thing, right? That God did something in the womb of a mom, curiously knit you into what you're going to be. His eyes saw you in that womb, and all of your substance and everything was not hidden from Him. And then He goes on to say, and by the way, just by the way, how much I think about you is more in number than the sand of the seashores. I'm just really, really into thinking about you and knowing you. And so that's kind of the miracle of life that we have. And so as a church, or as a youth group, or leaders in a youth group, or a family, we have the opportunity to shepherd some lives. And so we can have the privilege of preparing our kids for life. We can give them values. We can give them convictions. We can teach them the Word of God. We can protect our kids in storms. At my house, I don't know what it's like at your house. My daughter Kristen's here, and so she knows that my house is a safe place. And it's a safe place for any of her friends. I mean, she doesn't live with me now, but she's bringing home people all the time. They were staying with us, they were doing whatever. It's just a safe place. And your kids and your family need to have a safe place where it's just safe, that you can come home to. And we have the opportunity to protect our kids, or kids that God is letting us shepherd. We can play with our kids for fun. We can point our kids to God. Listen, there's no job, there's no career that could possibly compare to raising a human being. None. Zero. None. None. Nothing. Man, I wish I could do it over again. I wish, man, I could just spend that time having my kids at home. We're moving from one home to another home. The hardest thing about it is all of my kids lived in that house at one time. That's the last time we all lived together. And so now we're moving to this other house, and I'm exhausted with that gig, but that's another deal to talk about. But that's the last place. Let me give you a couple of things right now as parents, as church, whatever. If you can grab these things, man, it'll help you out a lot, man, as we prepare. God must give you, so this is what you need to pray about. That God will give you number one, wisdom. And I'll tell you what wisdom is. It's the capacity to teach your kids to do the right thing. It's the capacity to teach who you're discipling to do the right thing. The things that are most important. The hills that you can die on. It's just asking God, God, give me wisdom. Give me wisdom. I want to do this right. I want to do it right. You don't want to screw up on purpose with it. You just want to say to God, God, man, would you please just give me wisdom? The next thing is that He would give you understanding. That's the ability to perceive at the right time. So as you're leaving your kids, man, I just want to do this. I want to teach you this. I want to impart to you wisdom. I want to do it at the right time. I want to find the right circumstance, the right place, the right little trick, the right little whatever that you do. And then the third thing is knowledge. And that's you're teaching your kids to skillfully handle the Word of God. Wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. Now, if you go home and you do a little study on wisdom, knowledge, and understanding, you're going to find it all throughout your Bible. You're going to see Daniel ask God for wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. You're going to look at the 7 spirits of God in Isaiah, and 3 of the 7 are going to be wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. You're going to follow wisdom, knowledge, and understanding all the way through your Bible. You're going to see it in Colossians chapter 1 as Paul prays for the church at Colossae. And he says, give them wisdom, knowledge, understanding. And if we can steward that, you can steward that with your family, with your kids, with who you disciple, and you can bring them to the place where, hey, listen, this is God's wisdom, this is God's knowledge, this is God's understanding. Live by that. It's going to be a great thing for you to do. So let me talk about, base it around kids, but it goes all over the place. The first thing is accept their uniqueness, all right, with your kids. The Bible says in Proverbs chapter 22 and verse 6, to train up a child in the way it should go, and when he's old, he will not depart from it. You know that, right? But I want you to understand that your kids, or people that you know, they're unique. Everyone is different. They're not like you. The world only needs one of you, okay? Doesn't need a bunch of you, right? It's just one is fine. And so if you can accept their need, and that's the greatest challenge that we have as church, as parents, as friends, people that disciple, is accepting the difference of people and understanding their original gifts. My kids are all different, right? So my oldest daughter, Lindsay, she would wake up in the morning and she would say to me, what do I have today? Where am I going? What's going on? And she would run everywhere. Oh, I mean, I chased that kid. I was so skinny then. I chased her all over the place. My son Chad is mellow. You know Chad, man? He's just laid back. I could put Chad, when he was little, in a room with a piece of string, and he would stay there for 10 hours, man. That brother wouldn't even move, man. He was just happy to have time to himself and that piece of string, man. And I mean, he would, make Mickey out of it. He would do all sorts of stuff. He's in Power Rangers, trying to make it all day long. Now, my God, Kristen is here. Kristen is a plotter, right? And this is what I mean by that. She was always looking for an angle. So, 2 doors down from our house on 99th Street in Overland Park. So it's me and then a Jewish family. That's where I learned in Romans chapter 8, Abba Father, when the kids, Netta and Nissan, the twins, would run out and call their dad Abba. And God, it was a term of endearment that God says that we should use in pertinence to Dad. And that's how I learned that passage of scripture from there. But next door to them were the Jamors, and the girl got this, for the birthday or whatever, this really killer kitchen-like play set thing, right? And Kristen could not figure out why she did not have that. So at age 3, unbeknownst to us, my daughter slides out the back door, down the deck, and she's headed over to break into their house to get the kitchen set. The problem with that is, as she's climbing the fence to go, she gets stuck. And she starts screaming. And I'm like, where is she at, man? I got no clue. And she slid out, she's hanging on the fence, and I'm like, what kids, what are you doing? And she's like, I want Nicole's kitchen set, Dad, that's the deal. You kids are all different, man. And everybody in this room is of a different bent and a different personality. And some of you, it's just all different. We have to accept that with each other. And you have to also remember with people at church, people that you disciple, people that you work with, people that are in your family, you have to accept their uniqueness. And you have to realize this. I'm fixing to read you one of the one of the saddest passages of Scripture to me. All right? So here we go in Genesis chapter 5, 1 through 3. The book of the genealogy of Adam. In the day that God created man, he made him in the likeness of God. He created them male and female and blessed them and called them mankind in the day that they were created. And Adam lived 130 years. Check this out. And he had a son in his own likeness after his image. And his name was Seth. It wasn't created in the image of God. Sin had come in, and now his son was created in his image. And we're cousins all the way down of that image. We have a sin nature. And we better be super careful with how that works. Because in my family, I have passed on my weaknesses, and my faults, and some of my sin traits to my kids. It's just by nature. I hate to admit it, I'm not perfect, man. When each one of my kids graduate, I told them, man, forgive me, because I've tried to do the very, very best job that I can with you. But I'm sorry when I let you down and all of those things, right? And so I've passed that sin nature down. Now, watch this. This is what I'm guilty of. And as parents, just check it out. Or maybe as friends or whatever. Those weaknesses that are in my kids that are mine, I try to beat it out of them. Right? Because Christy and I are a lot alike. And so some of her faults and things that she has, man, I'm hard on her with it because, dang, man, that's one of my weaknesses that I've given her, and I have no tolerance for it, and it's just tough for me, right? But we are created in this sin nature, and we have to be able to embrace the uniqueness of who our child is and not spend all your time trying to beat you out of them, right? And so God wired us all different. Number 2, affirm their value. Affirm the value of your friends, of the people that you disciple, of your children. Affirm their value. In Psalms 139, 13 and 14, for I formed the inward parts, you covered me in my mother's womb. I will praise you, for I'm fearfully and wonderfully made. Marvelous are your works, that my soul knows them very well. So God made them. Kids, whoever it is, you affirm their value. You know, Moses was a dude kind of like me sometimes. He gets discouraged in ministry and is down in ministry. And you'll find in Scripture, God says to Joshua over and over and over, hey Josh, go and encourage Moses. Just tell him, man, I got this. It's all good. And so if that's true of God saying to Josh, go to Mo and say, hey, it's okay, man. You're going to be all right. We probably should affirm the value of others as well. And we do this 3 ways. Number 1, you can give them attention. I cannot remember which child it was, but they said to me, Daddy, listen to me with your eyes. Just focus on me. And I'm ADD, HDD, LSD, I'm all over the place, right? Tylenol D, and so they were saying, focus on me. Just me. When I deal in my house, they don't like it, they'll come over for Mother's Day, the phones will all go in the deal. I'm not fighting with that. If I only have my, especially grown-up kids, I don't have them very much, man, it's going to just be, they're going to pay attention. to their mom and then me, like focused attention, right? 2, affection, hugs, kisses, loves. All right, so I'm from Detroit, raised by a guy that was blue collar, 42 years at General Motors. The first time my dad told me that he loved me, I was 21 years old. My dad was homeless when he was like 11, so he didn't have that whole hugs, kisses, and everything down. But let me tell you this, man, Cheryl's family did. And it was, at the start, it was way too much for me. I mean, they were, the very first, Cheryl and I were married, the very first Christmas that we had, we're downstairs, dark room, king-size bed. I'm laying right on this edge, Cheryl's next to me, door opens, and her little sister's probably 8, she jumps in, right by Cheryl. Like, okay, it's all good. Shut the door, boom, high school senior walks in, hops in bed. So it's me, Cheryl, Stacy, Shelley, right? And I'm like, wow, man, this is intense, you know? Open the door 10 minutes later, it's her sister Shauna. And she's in it. And so now it's Cheryl, Stacy, Shelley, Shauna. Their dog's name was Cherie. I don't know where the dog was, but that was the deal there. And I'm like, way too much for me. And Cheryl's like, every Christmas, man, this is what we do. We all sleep together. And I'm like, I'm bouncing, man. I'm gone, man. I'm going to some little room. You guys can have it. But they were hugging and syrupy and loving. And her dad was that way all of the time. And a great way to do that is like, meal time and hanging out and doing all that. And then appreciation, okay? Just, you did a good job. You're smart. I believe in you. One of the, I moved my mom and dad here a few years ago. They live in an independent living place, and my dad passed away a couple of years ago. You guys know that. But my dad just, when he was older in life, he said what he wanted to say. He was really super great with the grandkids, and point them in a direction, loving them and everything. But he didn't say that stuff to me a lot. And so I remember one time when I was over there, and he was, a guy was over, they talked the war all the time, right? So one of his buddies over, they're talking Korean conflict, they're doing all that stuff, and they're talking. I'm like, yeah, I gotta go, enough, P-52s and Mustangs and all that stuff that they were talking about. And so he thought I was gone, and he started telling this guy how wonderful of a son that I was. And he just went on and on and on to the point that I faked shutting the door. So he thought I was gone for sure. And I'm telling you, man, it was some of the best stuff that I've ever heard my dad say about me. And he didn't often say it right to me. It's all cool, man. I don't need to go lay on a couch. I'm good. But that appreciation. And I think it's important for our kids, or for people that you disciple, for them to know that you appreciate it. The Bible says in Proverbs chapter 12, verse 25, anxiety in the heart of a man causes depression, but a good word makes him glad. So if it's inside of you to tell someone how you appreciate them, do it. Don't wait. Write the little note, send a little text, say it to them while you can. And it's important for our friends, whoever we disciple, our kids, whatever. So number 3, trust them with responsibility. My dad did this really good. So in Luke chapter 16, verse 10, he who is faithful in what is least is faithful also in much. And he who is unjust in what is least will be unjust also in much, right? So there has to be a sense of ownership. Giving people a sense of responsibility, right? I know they're my kids, man. I love them. I can throw them up against anybody, man, how hard they work. Anybody. It's not lazy. We used to get up, man, when we didn't have much money and clean this preschool. At 5 in the morning, I should drag their butts out of bed, man. Come on, you're going to do it. And they complained about it. But man, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, they had to get up and do that thing, man. We just needed cash. We had to make it. Giving them a sense of ownership or responsibility. And I'm not the example, man. I'm not. But my kids would come and say, Dad, man, I get it, man. I get it. Give it to me, man. And so if you can be faithful or teach our kids to be faithful in little things, they'll begin to be faithful in bigger things. You give them a sense of responsibility. You teach them, you don't let them slide, you do it. And Jesus was really good with this. Jesus was just spot on with it. Okay, you know what, guys? You go out, there's going to be a fish. Inside the fish, there's a coin in it. Get the coin out of the fish, pay the taxes. It's all done. Now listen, when you get there, there's going to be a guy that has an upper room. You find that room, you get it set up for me, and everything will be cool. He was good at teaching responsibility. And it's important for us to teach our kids or people responsibility, man. Make them work, man. My dad did this thing that was so, it just bothered me so much. Every single summer, no matter what, I had to paint the garage. I painted it last year. Next year come along, I wanted the same color. I wanted the same thing. I wanted this. It would take me, like all the kids were playing and doing stuff. He's like, gotta paint the garage. So if you paint the garage for a couple hours today, then I'll let you go to Steve Mascara's house tonight. If you don't paint the garage, then when I come home, I'll watch you paint the garage. And it was every single summer. It wasn't like, it was just, I did a good job. It took me a little while. When I was 8, I wasn't great at it. It was like paint on the concrete that bothered him. But in time, I got pretty good at doing this thing. I'm like, Dad, just paint it. You can paint it. I'm like, yeah, you can paint it. Okay, I'm going to paint the garage. You figured it anyway, right? Acts chapter 1, verse 8, but you shall receive power when the Holy Spirit has come to you, and you shall be witnesses to me, check this out, to Jerusalem and all of Judea, Samaria, and to the ends of the earth. Check this now. Don't let me lose you here. This is probably the most important part of this message. Ready? Right here. You all look up here. In other words, the responsibility that he gave them was salvation is in your hands. It's your turn. I'm out. It's you. That's responsibility for a church, for a husband and wife, for a family, for whoever you disciple, is to let them know the importance of salvation. Check this out. I don't want to embarrass him, but on Thursday mornings I hang with Don Pastor. And really, he disciples me. It's not me discipling him. And a few weeks ago, you heard his testimony and all of that stuff. The coolest thing about Don is he's stewarded his salvation the right way. And I affirm him for that, man. I appreciate it. When that brother got saved, he got saved. It went on a journey where he understood this very well. Like many of you guys, the same thing. The responsibility is yours. You've got to understand that when you look at this little verse. Number 4, correct them or your friends without condemning them. Appreciate it. There's so many times I hear at the grocery store, man, the mom, the kid, the candy, the whole thing, right? They use their tongue with guilt trips that are attached to it. And there's a way that you can shepherd or teach your kids. Listen to Proverbs chapter 19. Chasten your son while there is hope. Do not set your heart on his destruction. I'm saying to you, in your marriage, in your life, with your kids, be careful with what you say. I have never, ever bought sticks and stones, break your bones, but names will never hurt you. That's full of bunk, man. Man, there's people in my life that have said things to me, man, that still could make me cry, man. Leaders at churches, some deacons, or some friends that just wounded me so deeply. And you cannot raise a child or a friendship or a discipleship in anger. It does not work. It will never work. Watch what Ephesians says in Ephesians chapter 4, verse 21. Let no corrupt word proceed out of your mouth, but that which is good and necessary for edification, that it may impart grace to his hearers. Just be careful with what you say. Just careful with it, man. You don't want to condemn a friendship or a child that needs to be pointed in the right direction. When you guys get a chance today, read Ezekiel chapter 3. Time doesn't let me go there. But Ezekiel chapter 3 teaches us that when we know of someone that is strayed, right? And we learned a great, the high school kids last week from Porter on this very thing. But when we know of someone that's strayed, God said, hey man, it's on you to lovingly say to them, dude, not cool. What you do is not cool. I love you enough to say, dude, that is just not a smooth thing that you do. Use your words to build them up and use those words to be, constructive. Number 5, this is the last one right here, because I see some stuff in here and I want to go. Number 5, love them unconditionally. Right? Love them unconditionally. Lots of faults with me, man. Lots of faults with my parent. I love my kids unconditionally, no matter what. We need to be that way with our kids and just love them unconditionally. Accept them for whoever they are. Look at Ephesians chapter 4, verse 32. And be kind one to another, tenderhearted, forgiving one another, even as God in Christ forgave you. Right? Okay, now let me talk to you as your pastor. Right here, with this one right here. And the next, we can throw up the next verse, Gary. It just talks about love. It bears all things, believes all things, hopes all things, endures all things. So now I'll take the love off and talk to you. This loving unconditional thing is really super, super important for the kids in our generation. It just is. Especially Johnson County kids, man, that have everything. You got to come back to a place where they know that you love them. Not for the stuff that you can buy, but that you just love them unconditionally. Right? Now, last week I was a part of a funeral service for Griffin's grandfather, Dennis Fulton. And I learned that day, and I knew for almost 30 years how he loved unconditionally. And everybody lived with him. One of the pastors said, hey, have you ever lived with Dennis and Lily stand up? There are people all over the room. Just took them in and pointed them in the right direction there. When I was there for the service, the visitation on Friday night, out the aisle and down the hall. It was a legacy line is what it was, Jesus. It was a legacy line. And it all was around this loving unconditional. And it's important to grab that handle. There's other handles. You can affirm them and you can condemn the right way and all that. But if you can grab that handle of loving them unconditionally, that's an important thing. So let me teach you in this, and I've done it before, but I want to conclude with it today, how to pray for your children or for your spouse or for a disciple or for wherever. And so I'm going to just mimic Paul, right? And I think the way that I'll do it is my good brother Ken Bramble's here. I'm going to insert his name in this so you get an idea of how I pray for the high school kids or my kids or whatever. It's in Colossians chapter 1. And if you could write it down, maybe once a week, however you want to do it, man. I did it all of the time when my kids were little. All of the time. And if you could just grab it. So here we go in Colossians 1. and verse number 9 through 14. So I'll kind of show you how I work it, man. And so Paul says, for this reason also, to the church at Colossae, since the day we heard it, we do not cease to pray for you. Okay? So I would do it kind of like this. You can fill in the blank if you want. You can do it with your kids, with your spouse, with whoever it is. It doesn't matter how old your kids are. It doesn't. Here we go. Ready? Watch this. God, I would ask for you to fill Ken with the knowledge of your will. And that Ken would understand your wisdom and have your spiritual understanding. And that he may walk worthy of you, Lord. And that he would fully please you. And that he would be ever fruitful in good works and increasing in the knowledge of God. I don't know if you caught it, but we did wisdom, knowledge, and understanding in those first few verses. Lord, strengthen Ken with all your might according to your power. I don't know what he's facing, what he's going through, but if you'll be there for him. God, be patient with him. Help him to be long-suffering. Help him to suffer long for you with joy. Help him, bring him to the place where he gives thanks to the Father that you've qualified us to be partakers of the inheritance of the saints in the light. Like, help bring him to the place where he's thank you, Jesus, I'm saved, man. I got it. He's working that with that church at Colossae. And, Lord, bring him to the knowledge that he's been delivered from the power of darkness, and that you've conveyed him into the kingdom of the Son of his love. Just help him to be thankful that he has you and has salvation. And that he will be thankful, Lord, that he has redemption through your blood and forgiveness of sins. I promise you, man, I learned that from Dr. Charles Stanley. Do you know who that vocab is? I mean, he's still on TV now. And he laid that out. It was one Sunday morning. I was a youth pastor, and I was sitting, I was getting ready, and he said, let me tell you how to pray for your kids. And he laid that out, man. I promise you, man. I've prayed that for each one of my kids. I bet thousands. Just over. And Paul is just saying to these folk, just understand the things that are important. It doesn't matter how old the kids are, it doesn't matter how old the family is, it doesn't matter what you're going through. If I had a little one right now, I'd be just praying and asking God, man, to put his hand upon me. So Lord, we love you today. We're thankful for all the moms that are here and the importance, God, of understanding, loving unconditionally, trusting with responsibility, correcting without condemning, affirming value and appreciation. Help us to be a church that does that not only with our families, but we do it with discipleship. And we point our kids in the right direction. Wherever they go, they will look back at this little proving time that they had here with us as, you know what, man, I picked up some stuff from there. And I want to play that out in my life and in my family. That's what this journey with you is all about. And we want to point ourselves in the right direction. We're grateful, God, for how you have redeemed us from the powers of this world, and you've delivered us into the kingdom of light with your Son. And if there's someone here today that does not know you as Lord and Savior, that the Holy Spirit, that you would pull them or draw them to a place of salvation, that they would understand what that means and what it's about. And I'm careful to say, too, thank you for loving us so unconditionally that you came to this earth, we celebrated a few weeks ago, and you died for us. And that was very, very difficult for you, that you became man and God in the flesh. And you, like us, said, no, God, if I could be removed from this, please do so. But you followed the will of the Father and loved us unconditionally to the point that you died on the cross. God, we say thank you for that today. We just thank you very, very much. Give us the strength to follow hard after you. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.